This video is to help you understand the importance of target fixation on a motorcycle. Wikipedia defines target fixation as an intentional phenomenon observed in humans in which an individual becomes so focused on an observed object that they inadvertently increase their risk of colliding with that object. In such cases, the observer may fixate so intently on the target that they steer in the direction of their gaze, which is often the ultimate cause of a collision. It's especially important to avoid target fixation when you're riding on curvy roads. When you're learning to ride, you're taught the most important rule of thumb is to always look where you want to go, as counterintuitive as it seems. Now that statement may seem pretty obvious to anyone who's never ridden before, but you may not know just how unnatural it feels to look entirely through a curve. Roads like the Tail of the Dragon, which for those unfamiliar is an 11-mile stretch of road on US 129 with 318 curves, many of which that are so tight you literally almost have to be looking behind you because your bike goes where your eyes go. This is why it seems so counterintuitive, because you're focusing on where you're going, not where you are. Think of your eyes as the steering wheel of your car. As long as you keep the steering wheel of your car turned in the direction of the curve, you'll successfully execute the curve. However, let's say you're approaching a left-hand curve with a guardrail, and you suddenly straighten your wheel in the direction of the guardrail. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that you're going to hit the guardrail. The same applies with your eyes on a motorcycle. If you focus on the guardrail, you'll collide with the guardrail. Your eyes control the direction in which your bike will go. Now, another important thing to remember while riding curvy roads is the proper line and apex, but that's another topic for another video. For the purposes of this video, all you really need to know to ride a good line is to remember outside, inside, outside. In September of 2018, on my wife's birthday, we started our day like any other day in East Tennessee, with a dragon pass or two. Now, I always let her lead to set the pace, and within our first mile down the hill, we approached our first 180-degree curve, which happened to be a left-hander. We set ourselves up nicely on the outside in order to properly apex. But unbeknownst to either of us, there was a pretty good sized hole in the road right in the apex. Riding the proper line that she was, she subsequently hit the hole, which bucked her off the seat a little and distorted her line. This is where a little panic set in for her because she had forgotten the most important rule: always look through the curve. A lot of times you may find yourself having to adapt to road conditions, something that she had not experienced yet, being a fairly new rider. But now we both can look back in hindsight and analyze what went wrong. When her line became distorted after hitting the hole, she should have kept focused through the curve, even through the distraction. Instead, the panic allowed her to fixate on the ditch on the right of the curve, and you can see what happens from there. Now, this was a very frightening learning experience for her that will inevitably make her a better rider. Now, we must also acknowledge how incredibly lucky we were that this happened how and where it did. First of all, it rained the day prior, so the ditch she eventually landed in was mostly soft and wet leaves. Secondly, locals will understand, but for those unfamiliar, heading up the hill on the Dragon, the cliff side is on your right, and heading down the hill, it's obviously on your left. Like I said earlier, we were heading down the hill. Had we been riding up the hill, and if she went wide like she did, she would have ridden off the cliff and we might be telling a different story. At first she was embarrassed that it happened, and although I got footage of it from 2 angles, she asked that I not include the footage in one of my videos. After convincing her that she had nothing to be embarrassed about, she suggested that I use her experience as a learning opportunity, and that's what this video is about. We've all made mistakes, and if you heard the saying, it's not a matter of if you go down, but when, that saying exists because it's true. There are 2 types of motorcycle riders: those who have gone down and those who haven't gone down yet. So whether you're someone who's been riding for decades or someone who's just starting out, always remember you can always be better and learn from your mistakes as well as those made by others. I hope that you learned something from this video, or at least that it served as a reminder to always stay focused. But anyway, I hope you all ride safe with the shiny side up and in between the mustard and the mayo. Thanks for watching.